It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. We are officially in election season. Not only is the special election for Prop 50 happening, but the governor's race is heating up, and we finally have a challenger in the LA mayor's race. Karen Bass is no longer running unopposed.
If you're feeling down, if you're feeling blue, let's get help for you.
There's a city engineer running against her, Assad Al-Najjar, and Austin Butner threw his hat into the ring. And one of the things that Karen Bass is going to be touting, and you're going to hear it a lot, is she deserves another term because she got the homeless numbers down 2 years in a row.
Well, absolutely.
I don't know how many people that listen to this show believe it, but she's going to say it over and over and over again.
It's not a namsy-pamsy thing.
But it gets difficult to really take to heart that Karen Bass has been so successful in getting the homeless off the streets and clearing the encampments, when you hear stories like the one we're about to present to you, where there is an elaborate homeless encampment under the 10 freeway. And if that raises alarms with you, based on what happened at the 10 freeway just a few years ago under Karen Bass's watch, well, it doesn't sound good, does it? For more, here's NBC4.
One man's makeshift home that's part of a homeless encampment in downtown Los Angeles is turning heads and raising questions. People who live near it say it isn't safe. It poses significant fire danger.
Well, they all do. I don't understand after the 10 freeway happened, which they still say is some arsonist that they never caught, because it could never have been homeless encampments that are under the freeway. But regardless, you know the fire danger. How is a fire marshal not going in and clearing all of these out every single chance? I don't care about offering them housing. It is a fire danger.
Good evening once again, everyone. I'm Colleen Williams.
And I'm Michael Bradley. Tonight, we are pressing city leaders for answers, and we're going to show you what it looks like inside. NBC4's Alex Rozier has the story you'll see for the first time and only on NBC4.
Take a look at this makeshift home on Los Angeles Street, directly under the 10.
Never, ever, ever drive to that part of town. If you have to be in that part of town, figure out why and choose not to. Los Angeles Street, the street that our city is named after, oh my goodness, is one of the worst there is.
An elaborate construction created with cardboard rolls, wooden boards, and a tarp. And just wait till you see the Instagram video that takes you inside.
We got Derek's house right here.
The account White Wall Stunts posted this video that's now been shared by more than 10,000 people.
A bed set up with the light, big TV. You got the fan.
Where's he getting the power from with his big screen TV? And was that big screen TV paid for, or was it stolen along with everything else in here?
The radio.
This shelter.
Oh, maybe he's a listener. Maybe I should be a little more polite.
The radio.
This shelter is just...
Nah, he probably likes KFI.
This shelter is just one living space in this encampment that fills the block feet from Dan Mujaro's auto shop.
The crowd is getting bigger and bigger.
He said he's mostly concerned about...
Wait, I thought homelessness was going down. That's what Karen Bass was saying. But here we have a business owner that says this encampment in downtown LA under the 10 freeway is getting bigger and bigger. What's up with that?
At the end of the day,
He said he's mostly concerned about potential fires.
You would be if you're running a business in the area.
Dan said if a fire were to start, it'd be a big problem for all the businesses nearby, including his auto shop, this rim repair store, and this recycling center that is very flammable. If a fire...
Recycling center in downtown LA, huh? Do we know how much copper wire they're buying? Not the point. The point is, yes, if a fire started near that, that could be a massive hazard. All kinds of toxic chemicals.
Very flammable. If a fire were to start here, what would happen?
Same thing that happened last time.
2 years ago, a mile and a half away, investigators said someone intentionally set a fire under the 10.
Still never caught that guy, huh?
And for more than a week, it temporarily closed this freeway used by nearly 300,000 people every day.
Fire is fire.
But don't you worry, Karen Bass made sure to speed up the metro.
Fire is fire, you know. Fire is the only thing that can consume anything.
But others who work nearby say this new encampment is also a safety issue.
You're not even able to walk around because you don't know what to expect with all the homeless people, what they're going to do to you, how they're going to act against you.
We reached out to LA Mayor Karen Bass's office for reaction and asked if the city plans to do anything about this. A spokesperson said, quote,
Oh, okay, maybe they're going to do something about this. I mean, this is a clear and present danger. You have locals that are afraid that their businesses are going to get burned down. You have several fire hazards under a freeway. What is Karen Bass's response going to be to this?
We reached out to LA Mayor Karen Bass's office for reaction and asked if the city plans to do anything about this. A spokesperson said, quote, homelessness has decreased 2 years in a row for the first time in the city's history. We will continue to urgently bring people off the street. What do you hope?
So that's not an answer to the direct reply of this encampment under the freeway with a lot of flammable stuff and a giant TV for some reason. But, well, Karen Bass gonna Karen Bass.
What do you hope happens here?
Well, I hope the city can do something and help us to move these people from here and find a place where they can live.
That's the ultimate goal, to find a solution to the homelessness. I don't think it's too hard to do.
We also came to City Hall tonight seeking reaction from Councilmember Isabel Jurado's office as the makeshift home and the encampment is in her district, but we did not hear back.
Of course. Why would she want to respond about that?
As for the man who lives in that extravagant shelter, we did not attempt to speak with him today, as people who work nearby say that they've had some violent interactions with him in the past when questioning him about his current living space. Reporting live tonight, I'm Alex Rozier, NBC4 News.
So there is a incredibly dangerous homeless encampment under the 10 freeway, a mile away from where the 10 freeway melted years ago. And Karen Bass's response is, well, I have brought homelessness down 2 years in a row. It's a trend. Well, guess what? A new study has come out from the Rand Corporation in Santa Monica. They also counted the homeless over the last few years, and they think Karen Bass is full of crap. On top of that, you've got Austin Butner campaigning out there, and his first thing he wants to talk about is homelessness. Let's hear this report. Also, NBC4.
Former school superintendent Austin Butner is now holding his first campaign event since announcing his candidacy for mayor 2 days ago. Good evening once again, everyone. I'm Colleen Williams.
And I'm Michael Brownlee. Just within the past 30 minutes, he discussed a major issue in this race, homelessness in the city.
We need to know the facts. How many people are in need of help? How much is being spent to help them? What's it being spent on? And is it having any impact?
Great message, boring messenger.
A new report out today from Rand showing official homeless counts in Los Angeles are inaccurate.
You don't say.
Our Conan Nolan joins us live from the newsroom right now with more on the report and the candidacy here. Conan.
That's right, Colleen. So the Rand Corporation, an independent think tank out of Santa Monica, says that, well, the good news is homelessness is ticking down. The bad news is it's not going down nearly as far or as fast as city and county authorities believe. And while there is some improvement in some neighborhoods, other neighborhoods, there's very little, if no improvement, including Skid Row.
Hey, that's right next to that encampment we just talked about.
It was in July, following the annual homeless count, that homeless officials in Los Angeles County heralded that the crisis was slowly improving.
Reducing homelessness is now a trend in LA City and the county.
But That's crooked Dr. Felicia Adams-Kellum, who got caught writing a check from LASA to her husband's nonprofit, among a whole bunch of other inappropriate behavior.
But a report today from the
which she had to settle with staffers for $800,000.
But a report today from the RAND Corporation indicates not so fast. RAND also does a homeless count in Venice, Skid Row, downtown, and Hollywood. In years past, they say their numbers had aligned with those from the Point Agency on Homelessness, LASA, the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. But in the last 2 years, they have seen a significant discrepancy.
Wait, what changed 2 years ago? Oh, was it the mayor who happened to appoint that head of LASA, who is a good friend of hers?
I couldn't agree with you more.
Who in the whistleblower complaint already said was downplaying the problems with Inside Safe and boosting how effective it actually was?
But in the last 2 years, they have seen a significant discrepancy. They report a 26% undercount in 2024 and a larger undercount this year in those specific neighborhoods.
So if the RAND Corporation is correct, then homelessness hasn't gone down at all.
They believe part of the reason is who's counting. LASA uses volunteers with little training. RAND says it uses professionals in a structured process. Dr. Sarah Hunter is director of the RAND Center for Housing and Homelessness.
Our counts are done by a small, highly trained team of individuals who go out and validate each other's work. So that means one person goes down the street and independently counts the number of people and structures, and another person does that, and then they compare the numbers when they get to the end of the street. And if they're off by more than 10%, they go back and redo the count.
Hunter says,
oh, that's a pretty good way to do it.
Hunter says any improvement may be based on where you're looking. There's been a significant reduction in homelessness in Hollywood, she says, but not in Skid Row. And the homeless themselves have become harder to count. She says they are seeing fewer tents and makeshift shelters.
Except for that massive one under the 10.
There are more people living just, on the street without anything. That might have made it more difficult for volunteers to do the count.
Or maybe, just maybe, they were purposely undercounting. We know there had to be corrections. For instance, Mike Bonin's last year, somehow the count showed that he had a 30% drop in his district, and it just wasn't true.
One of the concerns over the count was why the County of Los Angeles ended their relationship with the Los Angeles Homeless Authority, LASA, reducing their budget by $300 million. In fact, LAist this afternoon is reporting that several job cuts are coming to that organization as a result of a decline in revenue. I'm Conan Nolan, NBC4 News.
So there you go. The independent RAND Corporation, they did their own homeless count, and they showed that Karen Bass's numbers and LASA's numbers are off by 25 to 30%, which would not mean there was any reduction in homelessness. In fact, the number may have even gone up, and that's with spending $880 million a year on Project Inside Safe. But there's also something that Austin Butner said in an interview with our friend Marla Tejas at Fox 11, that even though he is a boring messenger, is a very good point.
Homelessness.
He's quite the whistler.
Homelessness. I don't know about a point-in-time count that shows maybe a little dip. I know from LA Fire Department statistics that each year of Mayor Bass's term, responses or calls for people experiencing homelessness has gone up. That's truth. You can't fudge that data. That's truth. More and more resources are going to serve people experiencing homelessness.
So while you can definitely do a point-in-time count in a random weekend in January and use that as your baseline to see if Karen Bass's programs have been successful or not, what Austin Butner is correctly pointing out here is a even more accurate way to see if Karen Bass's programs have had any success is, have we seen a reduction in the amount of calls for fires started by the homeless? And we have not. Those numbers have only gone up and stretched LAFD incredibly thin.
I know that we're spending billions of dollars with no public accounting. The mayor's spending millions of dollars to fight our elected city controller who wants to come in and say, what have we spent money on? Are we getting impact?
So it's been 3 years. Karen Bass is up for re-election. She wants 4 more. Her signature issue was ending homelessness in Los Angeles. Karen Bass and her cronies claim that the numbers are down 2 years in a row. The Rand Corporation says that's not true. The numbers are wildly off. And Austin Buettner points out that service calls to the LAFD for homeless have only gone up. So you are the constituents of Los Angeles. You're the people that have to drive through Los Angeles. You experience this city every single day. I want to hear from you right now at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Despite what Austin Buettner said and despite what the Rand Corporation said, Karen Bass is sticking to her statement that homelessness has gone down 2 years in a row under her watch. Do you believe when Karen Bass says homelessness has improved under her mayorship? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Do you believe homelessness has actually gone down in Los Angeles? I'll tell you right now, I do not. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. I see a lot of corrupt officials moving a whole lot of money to their specific nonprofits and fudging the numbers so they can get even more money for something that is not effective. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Do you believe Karen Bass when she says homelessness went down 2 years in a row under her watch? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. We'll take your calls next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. The Rand Corporation did their own homeless count and found over the last 2 years, Karen Bass's numbers through LAHSA are wildly off. Not only that, Austin Buettner, who's running for mayor, pointed out that while Karen Bass says homelessness went down, service calls for homelessness have only gone up with the LAFD. Karen Bass is sticking to her guns and saying that there has been a year-over-year decrease 2 years in a row under her watch. Do you believe Karen Bass when she says she's reduced homelessness in Los Angeles? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's start with Scott in Hollywood. Scott, hello.
Randy, hi. The short answer to your question is no. Even if the numbers were accurate, and that's a 1,553 decrease from the count in February 2025 to the count in February 24, it totals $643,915 per person missing, dead, housed, or just fled the town. I mean, if it's down, they're not counting the deceased. They're not counting the people that die of sores or other ailments and the drug overdoses. 2,500 each year, according to LA County, are dying of drug overdoses. The problem is we are encircled by the leftists in this town and the derelict press that is the bugle boy for City Hall. I mean, we don't have an Ashley Zavala in Los Angeles. We don't have a Julie Watts in Los Angeles. We have chit-chatters that just tilt the microphone to Nithya Rahman, Karen Bass, whoever it is, and they say, give me a soundbite and I'll call it in. The worst being Craig Figner of KNX News. I'm sure he's a very nice guy. He seems like a nice guy, but he's wrong for the job. He won't ask for the follow-up, and if he does, he takes an evasive answer from especially Karen Bass. No one has more access than him. And he calls it in and calls himself a reporter. This has got to stop. We need a decent reporter, an aggressive reporter that covers City Hall. I missed the first part of your show, but apparently, I guess Rand has a 20 or 25%, correction. Yeah, no one ever really believed it. But even if you count the number, if you accept the numbers that Rand has or LA has, they're probably, and I'm not saying this is certain, but probably not counting people who have moved to a freeway on-ramps, freeway off-ramps. That's state property or private property, like empty lots. We need an independent count, or basically we really need to stop funding $1 billion. That's where LAFD suffers, our streets suffer, our sidewalks, the police, every service. The town is not breaking. It's already broken.
Well, I think you make a lot of really strong points, Scott. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. And to that point, if you listen to LA City Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez, when they were going through Karen Bass's ask for another $880 million for another year of Inside Safe, she did the numbers based on all the people that we're currently putting up in motels, which is a tiny fraction of the actual homeless out there. And we are spending $17,000 per person per month to be in those hotels. How does that make sense to anybody? 800-222-KABC is the phone number, 1-800-222-5222. Do you think Karen Bass is actually reduced the number of homeless people in Los Angeles? I say no. What say you? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you're on hold, stay on hold to get right back to your calls. Next, it's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails at randykabc@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. There's a new study for the Rand Corporation. They did their own homeless count, and while their numbers were in line with losses for many years, over the last 2 years, they say the real numbers that they looked at are 25 to 30% higher than the ones Karen Bass was putting out. Austin Butner, who's running for mayor against Karen Bass, says he doesn't believe that she's reduced homelessness because the number of service calls for the fire department in regard to the homeless has only gone up. So what do you think? Do you think Karen Bass has actually reduced homelessness in Los Angeles? 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Suzanne in Beverly Grove. Suzanne, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great.
To answer your question, no, I do not think that things have gotten better since Karen Bass has been in office. I live in the Beverly Grove area, lived here a very long time. I'm from Los Angeles, and it's a constant battle to, get these, homeless encampments off of our block, out of our area. It's not just that they're there, but it's the destruction that they do when they're here. I mean, our area is dirty. It's like a dump here. The trash cans are full. They're turned over. They're knocked into the streets. The street cleaners don't even come every week anymore. That service has been cut back. So I'm not sure what they're doing with that tax money. It's just a constant, treadmill of ongoing situations that we're trying to deal with to just live civilly and have a clean area and have a nice lifestyle for those of us that live here. So no, and the Rand Corp situation, look, I mean, we all know these organizations are going to hire, other organizations that are going to give them the results that they want. So, as other people have said, where's the physical inventory being done? And is it really an outside resource, or is it something that's being funded to give them the numbers that they want? That's just my stance.
That's a really good point. And to your point, I go to Beverly Grove quite often because I love going to the Largo. And I used to feel real safe, getting there early and then walking around maybe to the Beverly Center or to another restaurant around town to have dinner. And I don't do that anymore. I don't feel safe in that neighborhood. And that's supposed to be one of the crown jewels of Los Angeles.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I live close to the little door, love it. It's just a couple blocks from me. Do I want to hang out there and walk home at like 11 o'clock at night? No, not really. I mean, it's not what it was, 6 years ago in the area. And a lot of storefronts are gone. I mean, I've never seen all these years so many places up for lease. People are just vacating and just skipping out and going somewhere else. It's just become a ghost town over here, and it's really sad because it is a great area to live. There used to be a lot to do. It's not cheap, to live here, but it's just I just don't understand what's going on, and it's why we can't make things better for those of us that are here.
I think you make a really strong point, and I feel it in your voice. And, we've got to get more competent people into these jobs. Katie Yaroslavsky is terrible. And at this point, Karen Bass has been a failure. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Maria in Venice. Maria, hello.
Hi, Randy. Hey, you know what? I'm not really up on the homeless numbers, so I really can't comment on that. But one thing I do know, if you don't have Dr. Drew Pinsky, Reverend Andy Bales, and Mark Hood of the Union Rescue Mission in charge of solving the homeless problem, then you're not really serious about solving the homeless problem. Dr. Drew Pinsky is all about addiction. Reverend Andy Bales was head of the Union Rescue Mission prior to Mark Hood, who is the present head of the Union Rescue Mission, and they have had much success. They run a very effective program of getting the homeless off the street and giving them an education, getting them all cleaned up, and giving them a second chance. I do believe that the Union Rescue Mission will not accept you unless you're clean. I don't think you can be on drugs anymore. But that's where Dr. Drew Pinsky comes in. I mean, it would be such an amazing tag team. And I just, unless you have people like that in charge of this, then you're not really serious about getting rid of the problem.
Oh, I think you're so right about that. And, Dr. Drew's a friend, and I learned a lot about this issue from him from when he used to host the Noon to 3 show on KABC. And he understands the problems that are out there. But unfortunately, in L.A. County, when Catherine Barger tried to appoint Dr. Drew to an advisory position on homelessness, the harm reduction crowd got so loud and so crazy, he ended up withdrawing. We give a little bit of our resources to the Union Rescue Mission, which has proven success over and over and over again. I think one of the Inside Safe hotels in downtown LA, Mark Hood said, is through Union Rescue Mission, and they're showing success. But the rest of them, it's housing first, it's harm reduction, it's no rules, and one of the failures that we're seeing is there's no turnaround. People go in these motels, they don't get out because we're not changing their lives, we're not improving the root problems, which the organizations that you talked about, that's their whole mission. And you're right, if we put a lot more of our resources into the ones that do work, we'd see a massive turnaround. But unfortunately, what we see is more and more money going to places like the St. Joseph Center, which has been a complete failure. That's where Valicia Adams-Kellum is from. And we have seen a lot of grift and a whole lot of money spent and not a whole lot of results. Thank you so much for the call, Maria. Appreciate it. Let's go to Carolyn in Santa Monica. Carolyn, hello.
Hi, Randy. I wanted to say, yes, the homeless people, they have increased in Santa Monica, but first it started with Venice. Venice start pushing their homeless out, so they start coming towards Santa Monica. And then after the Expo train line was extended all the way to East LA, now we get homeless East LA, Pasadena, because they all jump on the red line, which is like the North Hollywood, Pasadena. It's all connected, and it picks them up from downtown. And once you get into 7th Street Metro, it's on the same line as Long Beach. So they hop from the Long Beach train to the Santa Monica train, and with all that, we're getting homeless, we're getting graffiti, we're getting crime, and then they cut back on cleaning the streets. They still empty trash, but we used to have actual sidewalk cleaners. They rarely come around anymore. It's just nasty.
Oh, you're so right about that. And it's one of the, I guess, unintended consequences of when your city becomes the end of the line for LA Metro, which Santa Monica became with the Expo line, which now has extended, like you said, to East LA and everywhere there. It's that when the trains close at night, they all end up there and they stay. And we've seen problems like that in Santa Monica with the Expo line and problems like that in downtown Long Beach with the Blue line. And there's no answer for it. There is no answer to keep those trains safe. Even the tap to exit program, which showed a great reduction in crime on Metro and people going on the system that weren't paying, they had to cancel it because of some kind of fire restriction. But it's a mess what's gone on in Santa Monica the last few years. Thanks so much for the call.
Right.
Appreciate it. And I will say, what's interesting is what she said at the beginning there about how Venice started doing things differently. Venice got a very different person in the LA City Council. They had Mike Bonin, who was the legitimately worst member of the LA City Council, especially on this issue for many, many, many years. And when Tracy Park got elected, she started doing her job. It's still not perfect there, but Venice looks a lot cleaner than it did 4 years ago. But yeah, when you're telling people they can't be here and their RVs can't be here and their tents can't be here, they're probably going to go to somewhere where the city's not going to bother them. And currently that is Santa Monica. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to Vera in Redondo Beach. Vera, hello.
Hi. You've touched on so many subjects. I'm almost 20 years living in 3 different vans on the street. I have places that I go. I refuse to throw trash on the ground. I went to downtown LA to get a smog. I was shocked. The barbecue tents, the dirty, greasy sidewalks, the garbage, people late. It's ridiculous that we are going to host the world and they're going to come through there to see that. It's disgusting. She hasn't done anything. And the amount of homeless that live in their cars, and I mean, these are not junk cars. They're still making payments on these cars, but they find refuge in a couple of lots in Torrance and Redondo Beach, and they keep it clean. No security, ain't nobody drunk, ain't nobody doing nothing. They're just trying to survive to the next job, okay? I don't understand. With all the money that we have spent, you could have put a sewer system in the desert. They can't burn sand, okay? You could put tiny homes, segregate them, and find out who needs real medical help, who needs alcohol treatment, and who just needs a hand up and a place to rest till they get themselves on their feet. She's a joke, like I told you the other day.
You are so right about that, and you've got the lived experience to know what you're talking about here. Thanks so much for the call, but unfortunately, that's not what we want to do. It would be very easy to identify, here's the people that obviously need to be institutionalized. Here's the people that need treatment, but we don't do that. We're just putting them up in motels and saying, okay, now what? 800-222-KABC is the phone number. If you're on hold, stay on hold to get back to your calls. Next, it's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's go to Cynthia in West Hollywood. Cynthia, hello.
Hi, how are you today?
Doing great.
Wonderful. So my story is, no matter where you go in any part of LA, I live in West Hollywood, but it's the same here. The homeless is out of control. But I work for aerospace, and I was driving home on Highway 110 Tuesday. And if you look, and I'm picking up 10 West to come back to West Hollywood, and as you're driving through and you're coming over by USC, you'll see a lot of walkways overhead and full of tents for the homeless encampment. And just happens on Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, a brick came through my windshield.
Holy cow!
A brick. my car is destroyed. And, you know, the lucky thing is for me, it's a convertible, so it didn't go through the top. It went to the right side of the windshield. Thank goodness I didn't have a passenger, or the airbag would have gone off. But I waited an hour and a half for LAPD to show up, and they never showed up.
That is so unacceptable. You know, you might want to look into a claim against the city. That is so dangerous. You could have died. That's quite crazy. We're late for a break, but Cynthia, thank you so much for the call and sharing that story. Hey, look at this. 790 KABC. Welcome. Smartless Live with Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnett at the Hollywood Bowl on November 15th. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-795-2222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck dialing. More of your calls coming up. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. If you'd like to email us, you can do so at randykabc@gmail.com. Jack in West Hills writes in, Randy, Karen Bass is a self-serving political hack who will do whatever it takes to get reelected. That includes publishing doctored statistics, taking campaign donations from questionable sources, and standing at podiums and simply lying to her constituents. She was a do-nothing as a representative, and I warned people that she would continue as our mayor. Thanks so much. Let's go to Dave in Whittier. Dave, hello.
Well, Randy and folks, we got to get a critical mass to turn this around. That's only going to happen. One of the major things we have to do is get our candidates, the Republican candidates, is to raise your own money. Don't depend on an endorsement. You don't need an endorsement. And do this, put information on simple black and white Xerox flyers, not these glossy flyers that cost a lot of money. And put the truth about this deceiver. The Democrat Party are a centralized Soviet-style party, and that's why it's not getting done. There's self-interest. They don't care about the truth, so we've got to do it ourselves.
I mean, I think it was a little different when Karen Bass was running the first time. Now she has a record, and I don't really see any noticeable improvement in the city whatsoever on every aspect, homelessness being the biggest one.
They're self-interested, they're immoral, they're godless, and it's got to change. Ronald Reagan called the Soviets godless and immoral, and that's how he won. They've irritated the Soviets to no end.
There you go. Thanks so much for the call, Dave. Appreciate it. You know, and I'll tell you my theory, because you can say whatever you want about a point in time count. The one statistic that I have is I live near the Sepulveda Basin in the San Fernando Valley. And there was occasionally a fire in the Sepulveda Basin every once in a while. But over the last few years, there's been more and more and more. And I believe, according to the Encino Neighborhood Association, there's been over 250 fires in the Sepulveda Basin. And we know how those fires are starting. And they're only getting worse. And this is the same area where they want to host Olympic events. So I see nothing but failure there. Hey, programming note, you're going to hear a best of this show tomorrow because I will be celebrating my anniversary at our favorite steakhouse in Santa Fe, New Mexico, Market Steer. It's going to be a great time. You can always catch up on the podcast of this show by searching for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.